Alright, it's that time of year again. It is Illustrator Updates 2021. My name is Daniel Walter Scott. I am a designer and Adobe certified instructor for Illustrator. Now, today we're going to cover off all the new features in kind of order that I think, the most exciting ones through to the more obscure ones. Okay, and depending on your definition of Illustrator, we're going to look at the new Illustrator for iPad. I know. It's pretty cool. So we're going to start with desktop, the more traditional Illustrator, and then at the end, I'm going to go through Illustrator for iPad. Not every feature, but we'll cover the the stuff that I've been using, okay, in this kind of pre-release version as a designer, the tools that you're most likely to kind of pick up and get excited by, and you can see whether you like it and want to start using it. All right, so yeah, let's jump in. All right, the first most exciting new feature in Illustrator for desktop is Recolor artwork. Now that feature's been around a little while, but they've added some sweet new features to it. So let's say that I've got this poster here, the colors are fine. I want to explore some other colorways. So first up, let's make some duplicates. Got my artboard tool selected over here, my toolbar. I'm going to hold down the Option key on my Mac, Alt key on a PC to drag them kind of duplicates of that artboard out. It's a nice handy trick. 1, 2, I'm not even sure how many I need. Let's do 5. All right, so we've got our initial colors. Let's look at this one here. So I'm going to select everything that I want to change colors for. It doesn't have to be the whole thing. I'm doing the whole thing because it looks dramatic. Let's go to the properties panel and let's click on Recolor artwork. That's been there since the last version. Okay, and this one here, if you haven't seen it, it's pretty amazing. You just grab any of these little dots, as long as the chain link is on, you can just work your way around the color wheel. And it really depends on your initial colors. If your initial colors are terrible and you don't like them, then moving around the color wheel often just gives you different shades of terrible. But if they're a nice kind of connection already, you will find that the colors complementary colors work when you drag it around. All right, so that's it for this one. I'm gonna click off. So that's the way it used to work, or still works. But the update for 2021 is, if I select all of this, actually, first of all, let's bring in an image. So File, Place, File, let's go to Place. I'm gonna bring in Recolor 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I'm gonna drag in you, I'm gonna drag in you, and you. So for this to work, it needs to be a pixel-based image. Okay, and we can pull the colors from it. Are you ready? So arrow, selected all of this, Recolor artwork, and this is the new bit. Okay, so if I click on this and click on the image, are you ready? Cool, huh? Such a good connection to that image, and like I picked bright images anyway. And what you'll notice is that the shades are all right, and you might be using it just like I'm using it here, just to find different colorways, but you might be using it to complement some kind of graphics that you've already got. Maybe you've got a lead graphic that you need to kind of support, or hero graphic that you need to match. It'd be a great way to do it. Let's have a look at this one. So let's select this. Let's go to Recolor artwork, theme picker, click on it. Doesn't really matter where you click it. Okay, it goes and pulls colors from it. Let's look at this last one. I left this one in here because it doesn't always work perfectly. I had to find a couple of images that worked. It's working like, I don't know, 70% of every image that I click on, it seems to go through and pick really nice kind of parts from it. Whereas this one here I did, and I was like, oh, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it really, but all this text down here, if I go to outline mode, you can see it's all hidden down here. That's Command Y, Control Y on a PC. Okay, so that's a great way of finding different groups of colors that I would naturally never pick. But I can see images and I'm like, ooh, that's a nice combination. And then somehow Illustrator's able to magic out some of the images. There's things that I need to fix in here. In this particular one, this one came out straight good. And both of these need a little bit of touch-ups, but I would have never picked this as a kind of a group of colors. It was nice to break out of those boundaries. Let me show you another good use for it. So File, Open, and let's go to, well, you're not following me. I'm just doing this. Let's look at Logo 1. Remember, if you do want to follow along, there are exercise files, okay, that I mentioned at the beginning in a link below. So Logo 1. And this thing here that I've drawn is something, it's for like the blog that I'm starting, or at least the forum. It's called No Dumb Questions, and I'm trying to design a logo for it. And I pick the same colors every time, so I want to break out of that. So let's move it up here. I'm going to hold down that Alt key on a PC, Option key on a Mac again to duplicate it. Command D, Control D on a PC to duplicate that thing again. It's a pretty handy trick. Same again, hold down Alt or Option, drag it out, Command D, you get a second version. So I've got kind of like 9 versions of this logo now. And what I want to do is get a bit deeper into that new feature. So let's go to File, Place, Command Shift P, there it is there. Okay, I'm going to bring in, what have I got? I got color 3, 4, 5, and, nope, 4, 5, and 6. Let's bring in those. Okay, I'm going to drag them out to be those sizes. These are just pictures I took. Well, that's my desk, that's my shoe, and then the pug. It's just awesome. Not my pug, that's Charles' pug. That pug is all over the internet at the moment. Thanks, Charles. Anyway, so original colorway, same thing here. So what I'm going to do is just pick the colors. So Recolor artwork, that's theme color. Let's pick from my desk. Okay, and the cool thing about it is because I've been using gradients in here, it's somehow matched and, you know, switched them all out as well. And it's like, I don't know, it's a pretty cool little color group that I would probably have not gone to. Let's have a look at going a bit deeper into these. So let's select this. Let's go to Recolor artwork. And let's say this one, my shoe. Let's go to this one. So it's pulled all the shoe colors out. And what you can decide to do is, there's these 2 options here. You can say, actually change the color randomly rather than being kind of stuck with what's given to you. So you go like this, and this goes through and picks different colors and moves them around. You get different options. You might find that the colors only work good when you hit this a few times. Okay, same thing here. This does the same thing, but randomly changes things like saturation and brightness. Okay, so it's found like teeny tiny, like there's like my leg has got a bit of color, the little stitching here has got a bit of color. So it's kind of a way to kind of go through and see if you can find other stuff within an image. All right, all terrible. It doesn't always work. All right, let's look even further. Let's have a look at this one here. Do the same thing, Recolor artwork. And probably the thing I use the most is click on this pug, and you'll see there the most dominant color is the background and the pug color. What I want to do now is I want to go and change this to prominent colors. And you can do it by just dragging it up. So grab the little house in between, drag the sliders up and actually say, I don't want these 2 colors. Okay, I want maybe this to be the most dominant color with a little bit of this. And you can also decide down here, okay, you can adjust the saturation. So rather than randomly adjusting it, you can go down here and say, actually bump that up. I want kind of a really strong color out of there. You can go even further and say, like, I like all those colors, but I was hoping to pull that out of, you know, that blue color out of there. What you can do is actually say, break that link, click on that fella and say, actually, let's bring him out to a more kind of saturated part. You know, I want him to be in that kind of blue zone or wherever I want him. Okay, so you can unlink these things and get kind of close with the theme picker tool and then go and adjust it. All right, so that's the first new 2021 Illustrator feature. It's called Recolor Artwork, and it's really just this part here, the theme picker. All right, on to the next feature. That next feature is unlocking on your canvas. So if you've ever done it, okay, you've locked something, you've gone to there and you've like, I need to lock you for whatever reason, Command 2 on a Mac, Control 2 on a PC, okay, or the long way is I select this guy and I go to Object, Lock Selection. Okay, so I can't get them anymore. I can't select them. I can lock them this way as well. Libraries, a lot of people, sorry, layers, people do it this way. They go in here and they go, actually, I want to lock all of this. Okay, and the trouble with it is, if you've been like me, you're like, I want to unlock him. And you're like, you go straight to Object, Unlock All, because you can't think of a better way of doing it. Okay, so that is not the case anymore. So what you can do is you can hover above this person, okay, thing, and I can right click him. On my Mac, I need to hold down Control and click, but however you do your right click, and look, you can go unlock path, okay, and it will unlock that particular thing. It hasn't unlocked this part because I didn't select him, okay, but you can unlock little bits now rather than doing the whole bulk unlock everything or fiddling around in the layers. It gets even better. You can turn something on now in your preferences. Okay, so go to, on a Mac, go to Illustrator, Preferences, go down to Selection and Anchor Display. If you're on a PC, it's under Edit, and your preferences will be down here. You want to end up here, Selection and Anchor Display. Cool, and it's this bit here, select and unlock objects on canvas. I hope they turn this on by default, super handy. Okay, if I click on that, nothing happens. But what I can do is, watch this, if I click on the edge of this locked item, you know, see that little guy there? Look, the little lock icon, click on him, and he's unlocked. Super easy. Click on this, unlock him. Okay, right click's not that hard, but it's a good new feature. And the little icon there, I don't know, I feel like it's a UI win. So turn it on for yourself. Enjoy the unlocking on canvas greatness. Next new feature is align vertical in type area boxes. Sounds lame, but it's not-ish. it's useful. Come on, we're here for the upgrades. So I'm going to clear away all of these troublemakers, and I'm going to use my type tool, T on the keyboard. I'm going to type my node questions. It's going to be an Adobe forum on Bring Your Own Laptop. So I'm just trying to give it its own like little life with the brand. Okay, so node questions. I'm going to pick any old font. I say any old font. I picked something pretty already. Can't go wrong with avant-garde. And what I'd like to show you is, let's say we do this in, because this is called a point type box, and it just types on forever, right? But let's say that we want to, it's in an area type box. Okay, and an area type box is, I'm going to copy him, is when you click out and drag something, okay, and it's a, it's a type area box. Okay, it breaks at the edges there. So I'm going to put them in here, this new feature, and it is up under type, and go to type, area type options, and look, align vertical to center. Make sure preview's on. Look how cool that is. There's going to be somebody at home going, oh, finally. Okay. If you're not one of them, that's okay. It's a new feature, and that's what I'm going through. One quick little win in there is, I'm going to undo that, is if you ever done, this is not a new feature, but not many people know about it, is say I do this, and I get in here, and I start typing, and you get to the end of your type area box, and then it overset, and it'll get that little red square there, and you're like, oh, I wish it didn't do that. I wish it just auto-expanded. Did you see it in there? Okay, so with this selected, got my type tool, object, and go to, type, go to text area, I can't even talk, area type options, and make sure vertical center's not on. You have to be on auto size. If it's grayed out, turn it to top, come out of it, come back in, turn auto size back on, and watch. Well, you kind of saw it. You're like, hey, look at that. I love it. It means that you can now type, and the box just gets as big as it needs to be. The width stays the same. Anyway, that is the align vertical type with a little bonus in there for you. Let's talk about the next feature, align to text bounds. To show you it, let's quickly create something to work with in DQ. You don't have to, but shortcut option left on my keyboard, left arrow, it does the tracking, and right opens it up if you want to do that. Up and down does leading. That is Alt, left and right on a PC. So let's say I got this. I need a square to kind of line things up with. And let's make it look interesting. Direct selection tool, clicking both of those, drag them in, because rounded edge rectangles or squares look better than squares. So this new feature here is kind of similar to align vertical type in the similar sort of vein, maybe even a little bit more useful. So let's first of all open up our align panel. So file window, open up align. Can't even see it. There it is. Okay, let's double check it is off by default. Can't remember if I've left mine on. Yours is off by default, I'm pretty sure. So I've got this one, and if I want to align it, say the top, it aligns to the top of the text box. It's always done that. But now the new feature is I can select both of these, okay, and I can say, actually, let's turn that on. You can do it so it aligns to both the text area or the point text. Point text is what Illustrator calls just a straight line that goes on forever when you click once with the type tool. Let's turn that on, and that exact same function, look, it lines it up with the ascender on my D here. And I can do the bottom, and it goes to the descender. Look at that. It gets even better, well, even better, watch this. It gets different. Let's say I'm not doing no dumb questions, I'm no dumb answers. Okay, so no descender. It can discern every font and actually what's in that little group. So watch this. It'll actually align to the baseline, look. Cool, eh? So that's now aligning with that. No more rulers and guides trying to get things to join or dragging it in, trying to get it to attach and dragging it back out, outlining type. All right, I won't do it, but you can align it if you have no ascenders kind of above the line here, it'll align to the X height as well. All right, next new feature is in the same sort of vein. Let's fancy this up real quick. Let's go to, I always love showing people the window gradient tool. Let's pick this last one, freeform gradient. Oh, yeah, I have no idea where it gets its colors from, but that was actually not bad. Let's pick, I just need 3 of them. Let's Let's get rid of you. We'll use those three. Let's click on that. I've got some colors that I'm going to use. You. Become more apparent later on. Not really. Just trying to make this tutorial a little bit more interesting. Okay, I love this kind of freeform gradients. Oh, look at that. Anyway, so I've got this now, and a new feature. You'll have to check whether it's on by default or not, because I got a pre-release version. It's under View and Snap to Glyph. And what this will do is it'll make all the baseline, which is the kind of line underneath it, the X height, which is this top part, all accessible and snappable, which it wasn't before. It was just treating it like a big old box. So now watch this. I can grab this point here and it'll snap to, can you see? I can't really point it with my mouse, but the editor, Jason, you'll zoom in on the far right by the A. It says baseline. Can you see there? That's the X height. Look at that, glyph bound. It'll actually snap to stuff rather than before you had to start outlining your type to start getting things to snap. Okay, so that is a sweet new feature. Now, if it doesn't snap to everything that you'd hope to, what you can do is you can go to your, open up, it's probably best go to your, it's clearer actually in your window, under type and open up character. You can use your properties panel version, but can you see down here, if you don't have show options on, okay, you can see all of this extra stuff. And these are little icons. I just turned all mine on. And again, I'm not sure in the released version which they'll have on by default, but come in here and turn them, the ones that are appropriate. I just turn them all on. And so it snaps to the baseline, the X height, the glyph bounds, which is the outside, and proximity guides are interesting. They like the X height. X height is kind of a strange thing. Like that's the X height there, I'm pretty sure. And can you see the font actually continues above that? Okay, they call that the glyph bounds. So I turned that on as well. So I've got both the X height or the glyph bounds. That could be backwards. Okay, and the angles that it is. And I definitely want you to turn on anchor point because I want to show you that next. But at least now we don't have to outline type to start doing some quite great stuff and kind of working with it. Things start snapping and, oh, look at that. All right, let's look at the next one, anchor points. Let's close down all of these. Zoom out to 100%, Command 0. So glyphs and anchor points, it means we can do stuff like this. So let's say that I want to leave that there, but I want another NDQ. Let's pick a different font. Fonts have got so good in Illustrator. I'm going to use one called Victor. So where's mine? It's already there. I found it earlier. Okay, if you don't have it, it's one of those fonts that you can download from Adobe Fonts. Just click on Find More and give it a sec while the internet works, and you can do a search in there for Victor. I'm not going to wait. Okay, so scroll down to Victor and you can click on this button here to say activate. Okay, so where is Victor? There he is there. So Victor in this case it's really nice. It's actually got some glyphs already as part of it. Okay, so I've highlighted that and it's gone into the font and said, actually, there's another version. Would you like to do it? If those don't appear for you, you can go the manual way, go to Window. Not all fonts have it, or at least have them working properly. You can go into here, Window, type, and open up Glyphs, and you'll find all the kind of extra stuff hidden for this particular font. And you can see here, there's two cues. You decide which one you want. Okay, so I just double click them, it adds them. Let's say I like this, but I really want that kind of like whippy, flourishy thing. So what I can do now is I just need to make sure in my characters panel, okay, so Window, type, character. Earlier on, I showed you make sure that this last one is kind of down, okay, or depressed, pushed down. It's a moody button. So make sure that's on. And what will happen now is I can grab my pen tool, so P for pen tool, and I can, watch this, it'll actually start snapping to the anchor points within the font, which is amazing. I don't have to outline it, okay? If you're being like, what is he talking about outlining it? If you click on a font, you can destroy it by going to, I can't even remember, it's Command-Shift-O, there it is there, create outlines. Okay, so that was no longer a font and I can kind of draw with it like a pen. But now with this new version, I can actually connect to these dots. Okay, and I can start doing stuff like, I'll do something quickly. Let's go to that. Let's go to that. All right, you're back. That's as good as it's going to get for now. It actually came out all right. So I can actually see how I was able to kind of connect in there and get to all the points. I can fix them afterwards. Now that is still a font. It's non-destroyed, non-destructive. Okay, they're all connected to these anchor points, so I can kind of snap to them, which is off. Snap in there. Oh, look at that. And it's still editable type. I can go through and change him to, I don't know, an A. Okay, so that they've done a lot of work with these, with the characters and connecting to them, baseline, kind of seeing fonts for their full potential. All right, zoom out and let's talk about font height options. Actually, quickly before I show you the font height options, let me play you this. I wanted to see also if you're enjoying the video, and if you are, this is where I beg for a like and consider subscribing to my channel. But what you're seeing in front of you now are the things that you create in my Illustrator Essentials and Illustrator Advanced courses. So if you're ready to kind of invest in yourself and kind of take your Illustrator skills to the next level, check out the links in the descriptions. I've also got courses on Photoshop, InDesign, Adobe XD, Premiere Pro, After Effects, and Dreamweaver. All right, let's get back to it. Sales pitch over. Time for those exciting sounding font height options. To do it, we need to open up the character panel again and zoom back in. Everything's so small. Does everybody do that? Work in some sort of random fashion. Giant ones, little ones. What I want to do is I want to have you, and I want to do a caps version. So zoom in, capital NDQ. Okay, and I want maybe that D to try and overlap. All right. So I would like this to fit into a sticker. Say that's the logo that we've decided to use, and it needs to fit into kind of like the physical world. So I need to draw a box, and let's say that that box is going to be over here, the width. If yours is set to pixels or points or inches or millimeters, you can actually just type over the top. I'm going to use millimeters because I don't know how Imperial works. So 150 mm, just tab out, and it will convert it to whatever it is. You can type 2 inches in there and it will be 2 inches. Convert it to pixels. So I'm going to go to actually 150 millimeters. Doesn't need to be lowercase? I don't think so. And the height is going to be 60 millimeters. So that's the sticker that I need to kind of get this thing to work in with. Okay, it's ginormous. Actually, it's not. It's just everything I created previously was really small. So I need to fit it in here. So what we can do is the size of the text was always referred to up until previously the size of the outside of the box. Okay, and if you tried to convert points to physical sizes, you know it's no fun. So what you can do now is window, go down to type, go to character, we keep closing that down, and go to this new option in here. Again, I don't know if this is on by default. I don't think this one is. Go down to the one that says show font height options. Okay, so I can go into here and this thing is new. By default, when you deal with font sizes, it's the M height, okay, the size of a capital M. So what we want to do is we want to go in here and say, actually, I want the cap height because we're using capitals. You can kind of see these little icons. I love that they put the little icons in there. Good work, Illustrator. Okay, cap height. I would like this to be like, this box here is 60 millimeters. I would like it to be a little smaller so it fits in. You can just type in 50 millimeters. Okay, remember, and tab out, it will convert it for you. And now this thing here, if I click on you and I'm gonna invert it, actually switch the fill in the stroke, which is Shift X on a keyboard. That's both Mac and PC. Now this thing here is going to be 50 millimeters tall. Exactly, the cap height of it is going to be 60 millimeters, 50 millimeters tall. I made it a little bit smaller, so I had 5 mils either side for a bit of kind of bleed for my sticker in case it shifts on the printer. And now I could print that out and it would be the right size. No more drawing boxes and rulers and guides. You might use it for another way. Let's say that we use this little, actually we'll use him. Let's go in and do it. So let's say that I want that, the N here to be the exact same height as that, because you can't scale it up that way. Like it doesn't know where that is. Okay, so what you can do is you can say, actually I want the, I want it to be the X height. Okay, so the X is the top of the lowercase letters. And I can say this guy is a height of what? Over here in my properties panel, it's a crazy height, but I don't care. I can just copy it. So I'm copying it all, 9.1931 pixels. And I can go to you and say your X height is, paste over the top, and I don't know, and I don't care. Just do it. Look at that. It should be, look at that. It's the exact same height. Useful for a few people. It does get fancier when we get into the iPad stuff, I promise. Hang around. You've probably already jumped to the iPad for Illustrator, but let's get through these new features for Illustrator. They've really gone to town with like type, and that's really why we're in Illustrator, for me at least, as a designer. I know if you're an illustrator, it's probably a lot different. But for me as a designer, lots of time dealing with fonts, glyphs, all that sort of stuff. Now we can control it a lot better. Again, let's close this down for probably this time, hopefully for good. Zoom right out, and let's talk about some of the upgrades to Cloud Docs. So Cloud Docs, that thing you've been avoiding for the last couple of years. You've been going to File and gone to, let's say, Save As, and it said this, and you're like, don't show again, save to my computer. Don't bother me with this. I'm going to show you why today might be the day you consider Cloud Docs. It's been around a little while, but they've upgraded them to make them better. Okay, so let's go to, if you have clicked don't save again and save to computer and you can never get back to there, do save as, and you can get back to it by clicking this little button here and say save as a cloud document. Give it a name. This is going to be my NDQ V3 version. Okay, I'm going to save it. And the first thing you're going to say is like, oh, it's on the cloud. It's going to be slow. So somehow magically Adobe have this Creative Cloud thing where it is in the cloud. You can kind of see, look, there's a cloud. It's definitely in the cloud. It's called an AIC file. Ooh, new. Okay, so it is definitely in the cloud, but don't worry, in terms of workflow, there is this sneaky version hiding on your machine, okay, that makes it run really fast, and it just updates to the cloud to make sure that's updated as well as you work through. And one of my concerns when I was originally kind of thinking about this or getting into it was bandwidth. Like I'm on like rural internet, I'm using mobile broadband, and somehow what they've done is it's not every time you save. I think it updates itself every 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, so the cloud version is always kind of synced. But is like, let's say I've saved it and I add a new text layer. It's not going to re-upload the whole Illustrator file. It's only going to somehow upload the information for that. So it is pretty nice that way. Why would you do it? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One is there's a backup online all the time, which is always handy. And probably one of the biggest perks is that it starts sharing across, you can access it from everywhere. Let me switch out to this other camera over here and I'll show you it on my devices. All right, so this is my other devices. So my phone, let me have a quick look. Don't look at my code. You can't really see it there, but I've got a Creative Cloud app and I can go to my libraries and I can go to my Creative Cloud Docs, and there he is there. Can't do a lot with them on my phone, share them, look at them, review them, but it gets really good when you've got something like this, the new version of Illustrator for iPad. That's only out just now as well. We'll cover it in a bit more detail in a second, but Illustrator, yeah, for iPad, it's awesome. You can see here I can go to my work and I can look at my Cloud Docs, and there he is there. We can open him up, okay? And yeah, it's pretty like a nice seamless kind of transition between the two. I could see this in the past where I've been working at a work computer, signed with my Adobe ID, and coming home to work at a different computer. The Cloud Docs would be perfect. Okay, they'd just sync, and then I could jump on one laptop and then jump on another one. You can be sharing it with different people. You can share Cloud Docs. It's pretty amazing. Let's do a little change here and then show it updating on the desktop. First of all, wait for it. Look how ridiculous my MJ glove is. So I find my sweaty hands mess with the iPad Pro. So we'll cover the iPad Pro properly in a second. Let's just do a quick little change. Let's do the gradients. Let's pick something from my libraries. It's cool, man. iPad Pro connects to your libraries as well. So I can go in here and pick some colors that I was working with in that last one. Let's say this one, let's go for, let's use those colors I was using before. So, yep. Actually, you can see that little locking icon, how it kind of connects with this now as well, which is really cool. Did I do a gradient? I can't remember. Anyway, well, I'm trying to be fancy, but it's not working out. Let's abandon that guy. But let's not, because you're watching. Let's pick another color. you can't really see much from that distance anyway. So let's jump into the big computer. But let's say I did this, all I need to do really is just back out of Illustrator for iPad, and let's leave that there and let's check out what happens on the desktop version. All right, so back at the computer, whether the welcome screen, you go to Your Work Cloud Docs. There he is. He's updated with the new color. Or if you go to File, Open, you can get to the same place by, if you're in this kind of traditional kind of little window, go to Open Cloud Docs. It'll be in a slightly different place on Windows machine. I haven't actually checked that, but go Open Cloud Document, and there he is there. And he's the updated color. I'm going to open it up. Look at that. It even kind of loads in the same zoom as I had on my iPad. It's pretty nice. And I totally forgot about one of the best features for Cloud Docs. If you go up to File and go to Version History. Look at this. I've got this current version, and I can actually roll back to, look at that, the ugly version. That's a bit gross looking. I can click on it and say revert to this version. And it just goes back. I can do a couple other things. I can say, I can mark, so all these versions here, okay, that are all these changes that have happened, these will all are copies of it basically, and they will, you need to save and close them to get them. And they will disappear over time just so that, there's not a zillion gigabytes of files everywhere. So I think it's 30 days for kind of a regular account on Adobe, and it's 60 days for an enterprise level one. But they just disappear after a while. You can, though, anybody can go through and say, actually, I liked the mud poo brown version, and I'm going to go, actually this one here, whoa, click the wrong one. Click this one as well. See the little bookmark? Okay, that just says, I'm going to call this one my poo brown version, and I'd like to keep that, please. Do not get rid of it. And he'll stay forever. Everything else that's not named will just kind of slowly disappear. So you can save a couple of kind of versions in your history. It's pretty awesome. And of course, just the normal old crossing from iPad, doing some changes, jumping over here, whatever's your most fluid in, there's just some things that are really easy to do on the iPad. And there's some that are just easy to do on the desktop version. I thought when they gave me the early version of Illustrator for iPad, I thought I was asking myself the question, am I ready to change to Illustrator for iPad? And it turns out actually just another tool, it's just another thing to use when I'm working. All right then, so let's talk about the very last upgrade for 2021 that we'll talk about, and it's a bit of a weird one. Let's wait here at the back, and then we'll get on to the exciting iPad. I'll give you a run through and demo first impressions of that. So the last one is kind of Cloud Documents as well, very obscure. Let's go File, let's go to Place. You can place Cloud Docs. Okay, so I can go to File, Place, and grab my Cloud Docs. I've got this one here that was created on my iPad, Photoshop for iPad, which has been out kind of a year now. I can grab this and place them. Basically, I can grab Cloud Docs that I've shared from other people, import them straight into Illustrator, and I can do things like convert layers to objects and make editable text, and check this out. So you got this doc, it's come through, look, all the text is editable, and it was from the cloud. Okay, so it was saved online, shared with me by my iPad, and we can kind of make changes. Exciting-ish. All right, let's get on to the fun world of Illustrator for iPad. Let me switch cameras again. All right, so we're back at the iPad. It's not going to be a complete run through. It's going to be more of my first impressions, how I'm using it. I've only had it for a little while, but it is really changing the way I work. So kind of I like the pen. It's a bit precise when we're doing kind of pen tools stuff. You can just use your finger. You do not need the ridiculous glove. It kind of works fine without it. You can turn it off in here to say, where is it? Input. There's an option in here that says palm rejection. They've changed the name of that since I was last in here, but you can have a little look and that will get better. But for the moment, yeah. So I'm going to make a new file, custom size. I'm going to make it pixels, and I'm going to make it 500 and 500. RGB. It's got they've done a really nice job of bringing through, not every part of Illustrator Desktop's in here, but they've brought through all the stuff that I've needed as a designer. It's been pretty great. So I'm going to create a file, and what I'd like to do is actually, I'll show you doing this camera thing. I'll plug it in a second, but I want to show you often the way I'm working is I'll get my like some of my hand drawings, okay, and then switch to like this option here. You can't really see it, I'll zoom in a second, but I can switch to my camera or my cloud documents, and I can kind of use the power of iPad having a camera, which is nice. Can you see it? This is not the greatest flow, I know. You can kind of see I can take a photo. This is the one I'm gonna do. It's kind of the one I want to start building with you. Okay, and then I will plug this in now, and we will switch to, there we go. Let's plug it in, and we'll switch to looking directly at the screen. All right, so we inside the machine. You'll see this like little blue dot. That's my finger or the Apple Pencil kind of dragging. So I'm just resizing. You'll also notice that underneath, there's a bunch of icons underneath the image here. I'm using this kind of fourth one, and I can kind of just click hold it and move things around. Like, yeah, we'll move it over there, and we'll lock it, which is the fifth icon along, and we'll start redrawing it. So 2 fingers, pinching and zooming, very typical kind of device stuff. What I'd like to do is the toolbar across here. I'm going to click and hold it, grab the circle tool, pick a fill color, any old thing, pink, really pink, any old pink. And although not a full tutorial, I'll kind of give you the basics. Can you see this like little button down here? This is like your shift key or your alt key on a keyboard, okay, or option on a Mac. And it just means that like if I drag out a circle, I can get any old size, but 2 fingers on, if I just tap the iPad with 2 fingers, it undoes. But what I want to do is constrain proportions. All I need to do is hold this button down whilst I drag it out, and it kind of locks in that, constrained proportions, so the height is the same as the width. So on 2 of those, I'm going to duplicate it. There's a little duplicate button underneath. So now I have 2 of them. Nope. Click it once, duplicated. There it is. So now there's 2 of them above each other. And I'm going to shrink one down. Like before, if I want to scale it proportionately, okay, I hold down that. It's called the primary touch button. I'm going to undo that. If you click and hold it, you've got a secondary one, which is more like the option key. You can kind of just drag it out. It's kind of weird. Well, it's actually really intuitive to use. It's hard for me to describe. Click it once, shift key, drag it out. Clicking, holding, and dragging out is like holding the option key down on a Mac, the alt key on a PC, and it means that I can constrain it to get it to go from the center. And because it's the same color, it doesn't look very different. So let's go these 2 colors. Just big contrasts. So again, let's grab that secondary button, drag it in, get it kind of match that sort of circle over here. So next thing I want to do is probably one of the favorite features for Illustrator for iPad is if I select both of these, and over here on the right is a bunch of your kind of panels like normal. There's layers, properties panel, there's lots over here. What I like is this 4th one down. Okay, it is the Pathfinder. Okay, and the cool thing about Pathfinder is, can you see these ones here? It actually gives you a little like preview of what it's going to do. Somebody use the one on the desktop and you kind of click the first one minus front, and it normally works, and you're like, nope, hit undo, then click the next one, hit undo, because the icons don't really help communicate it, whereas this gives you actual preview of what's going to happen. So I want this one, minus front, big hole in it. Hopefully they bring that kind of thumbnail-ness over to the desktop version as well. All right, so now I've got this kind of compound shape. I'm going to draw that kind of tail thing there, and I'm going to use the pen tool. So over here in the toolbar on the left, okay, the regular old pen tool, and it's pretty good. If you can use the pen tool already on the desktop version, it's a really easy transition over. So I'm going to switch the foreground and background color over here. I kind of just push the dot on the screen so you can kind of see where I'm going. So I'm going to have a big stroke, no fill. And yeah, you kind of click once for a point. I want to, click once. Actually, I'll do a curve. So I'm going to try and kind of follow this. So I'm clicking and dragging, and I'm just kind of looking at the image here and going about there. And I want to break it, so I hold down the primary touch button and maybe drag that back towards home. Click once. It's actually lost it, so I'm going to go back to the direct selection tool and kind of select them there. Go back to my pen tool and yeah, connect them up. And let's get maybe this one here, kind of close. Again, to break it, I'm just going to break them across there. So the pen tool works quite regularly. Okay, once you get used to that primary touch button, you can go to your direct selection tool and kind of make your adjustments. And the nice thing about it is it's pretty good at snapping, like 2 fingers to drag it. Can you see I just dragged it onto this? I went kind of close and it went snap. It's a little bit hard to see because I got that blue dot on for you, but there we go. And this one here, let's say I want to break this one because I don't want it to be, destroying that side. Again, you can hold down the shift key, okay, and you can kind of snap things like you do with the normal pen tool using the convert anchor point tool. It's very intuitive. Okay, so that's kind of what I want to do. Let me mess around with it. Actually, I want an extra point down here. So I'll convert that to a curve. I'm going to hold shift key down and just break it again, just so I've got, do I want a little round down the bottom there? Maybe I do. Okay, so I got these 2 handles controlling it, and I want it to kind of follow into here. How smooth is this going to be? We'll see. All right, the next kind of thing that I'm using a lot in this program is back to the selection tool, grabbing both of them, and it's back in here with our, remember we looked at the Pathfinder before, so I don't want any of these. Okay, so the ones we used before, combine all minus front, any of these. What I want is this shape builder here. The shape builder is really intuitive. So what you can do is, watch this, I'll kind of click once and I've kind of removed that bit. Okay, click once in there, I've cut that hole. I want to combine these, so I draw a line across the top of them. And that's what I want. I want these 2 shapes. Okay, so I'm going to go done at the top. And now I've got kind of this shape that I want to use. Okay, and that other one, that's what I'm looking to do. All right, and I want this kind of like gradient thing going on. So I am going to, over here in my, I'm going to turn the stroke off. So I'm going to click there. And the fill color, I'm going to switch to gradient. And we looked at the freeform gradient tool from desktop. That has actually made it to the iPad, which is really cool. So I'm going to add it to this one, and I'm going to, down the bottom here, look at my swatches. Can you see down the bottom? That's one of my swatch libraries. That's cool. They've got like all the color books in here, like Pantones. Let's go back to my libraries though. So my libraries, where is it? NDQ, it's the one I was using. So I'm going to go through, click on this color there, pick that color, down here, go to that one, and maybe that one, another one there. I'm just kind of clicking once, it adds another gradient swatch. I think that's what I'm going to do. Now with these gradient, freeform gradients, this like little circle here, you can expand it to make it bigger and kind of influences more of it. You can make it transparent if you need to, which is this option. You can just drag it up and down. Can you see it's just really intuitive? I'm just kind of guessed that. I've never done it before. Nice work, Illustrator for iPad team. Let's do the same thing for this one. Let's click on this. Let's go to gradient. Let's freeform gradient it. Actually, I'm going to dive into it, double click it. So I'm going to change the freeform gradient as well. Actually, no, what I'll do is let's just make it a fill color. So let's go down to and pick whatever one I used over there. What is at the top there? I think it's that one. Just so I wanted that kind of like blend across here so it looks like it's gradienting and tucking under 2 separate vectors. You can see there like not crazy complex, but all the kinds of things that I'm doing quite a lot are built into this. If I hit back, what it comes down to in here, you can go into, actually when you're inside of it or out here, you can go to the top right up here. I can click in here. I'm using the Apple Pencil so I can kind of just draw Dan and it will magically convert it to letters. Not sure why I call it Dan, but hey, it's my name. Now I won't cut back because you've seen it before, but it's appeared on my desktop now, so I could close this down and start working on it in the desktop version. Now I'm surprised how much stuff is actually included in this, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to group for like a first version. That's why I'm not doing a full tutorial on this because it's quite new and they're developing it quite a lot. But this version, like the pre-release I've got, is pretty amazing. You can drag that out to duplicate it instead of just clicking it once to duplicate. I'm going to bin one. So that's pretty cool. And let's say that I want 2 of these. I want this kind of like overlapping thing going on. I'm not even sure yet, but something like that. Yeah, blending modes came along. I was surprised that it's kind of ready for that sort of action. So over here in your properties panel, fill blending mode, I can kind of work through, I have no idea. To get that kind of like cool interactive gradient thing, overlapping stuff. You get what I mean, hopefully. Something like that. I'm going for like quotation marks and trying to get kind of a question marky look to it. and a Q all kind of wrapped up in this thing. So it's okay. Okay, so let's say that we do want to do, I haven't decided on that yet. Anyway, let's say we want to do a more organic version. So over here on the left, you've got the pencil tool. The pencil tool, no surprise, has an option for smoothing, okay? And I'm gonna get mine I want like an organic version of this. So I'm gonna go to there, I'm gonna pick a stroke that you can see from a distance. Yeah, that'll do for me. And I'm going to kind of do a more organic version. But because I turned the smoothing on, hopefully it's gonna help me draw a better circle. 2 fingers taps to undo. I want to get that kind of join nice. That's going to do. All right, so the smoothing was up on that one. What I'm going to do is select it with the rectangle tool, and you'll see over the side here. Actually, if I click it with the direct selection tool, so there's these 2 tools over here, right? There's the selection tool and the direct selection tool. So I'm going to grab all of these. There, you could do it where you click on one point, and you actually, can you see just above below there? Okay, I'm going to click on it and go, you go away. Okay, and it's kind of kept its curve pretty nicely. It doesn't just like disappear. You can turn it into corner points if you wanted to. What I like doing is selecting them all, and there's this option here. Okay, click it once, and it just like tidied, like undo. It's pretty close to its original shape, but with just a whole lot less anchor points everywhere. So just a lot smoother. Okay, so this one here as well, he's a corner. I'm gonna put him to a curve. And it just, gives you a lot of control. Now, the primary touch bar button down the bottom left here, I can click on some of these guys. Actually, let's click on just that one. Let's click just this one guy, and I can hold down the primary and then swipe it to get to the secondary, and I can actually slide him along to decide where I want that point. So there's some cool features in here. Same thing with him, probably, click just one of them. Secondary button, move him down a bit. And then just start working on these because I want it to be organic but reasonably smooth. So go curve, here's now. Here we go. Faking hand-drawn, is quite hard to do. Fake not caring but still making it look good and caring. So let's get this one. Let's grab the pencil tool again. I'm going to do the quote marks kind of the right way around. Man, that was pretty good. I could draw that nice in real life. So yeah, it's, I don't know. I'm trying to go for this more colloquial, playful version. And again, I'm going to select them both, go over here, grab my shape builder tool, which I really like, and just join them both up. I just click and draw a line all the way through them. All right, one of the other cool features that I like is, let's say that we do want to kind of use the colors from this. So I'm going to double click this. And I want to just copy it, actually copy the appearance. So over here on the right, okay, there's this like scissors. Click on him, there's copy appearance, which is cool. And then I can click on this and say, yeah, paste appearance. I want fill color and stroke, yes please. And it's gone through and picked them. That's awesome, me. There's outline view as well, which is really important for me for some reason, okay? Especially when there's some little funny stuff going on. Goodbye in the bin. You can kind of just double check how everything's kind of made and whether it's all connected up right after using the shape builder. Go back to preview. All right, some of the other cool features is actually, let's quickly add, I want some kind of circle in the middle here as well. And again, select them both, shape builder, and just click once to delete it. Now I've got a kind of a hole through it, which is cool. All right, I'm going to shrink this guy down, holding shift key down, or the touch button. And let's look at some of the other nice, this is kind of unique for Illustrator for iPad. Okay, so we'll look at all the stuff that kind of comes over from Illustrator, but at the bottom in the toolbar over here, can you see there's this option? It's a symmetry, or a repeat button. Okay, so let's click on mirror, and it's kind of what I wanted. So I've got this mirror option. Now, have you done it on the desktop version when you have to go like object, transform, reflect, and click preview because you hit the wrong way? This is just a really nice tactile way, nice and simple. Because what else have you got? You can still organize these guys, like as in rotate them. I can still kind of play around with these things depending on what I want to do. So in the middle here, there's that dotted line. There's the center one. If I drag it left and right, it will kind of move them closer together. And where I leave it, okay, say if I leave it here, if I rotate any of these ends, it's the pivot point. Okay, so I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just showing you some stuff now. Let's double click, go in. Let's go to this. Let's go to copy. And come out of there. And I'm going to paste another version. Okay, I should make a couple of duplicates. You sit over there just in case. Let's look at we'll look at one more. Let's look at radial. It's pretty cool. So there's lots of kind of on-screen controls. So the one on the right here, if I drag it up and drag it down, it's like how many are part of the gang. This one here is just like, if I drag the starting and ending point, how many do you want? This top circle in the inner ring, okay, you can see how it kind of combines down there. Man, it's kind of beautiful how it works. It needs to be record the video. I think you can actually stream from Illustrator for iPad. I'm not sure if that's working yet. Okay, but I know that's the plan for it for release. But let's say you want this. Let's get down to this. You can still double click on them, okay, and work, you know, kind of tidy them up. So you want something like that. Oh, awesome. Now let's look at type. So let's say that we kind of like, I don't know which version. I don't even know. Let's say we're going to work with this one. We're going to make a duplicate of it. We're going to group it. We're going to make it a bit smaller. Undo. Make sure you hold down the primary touch button so it doesn't distort. And let's have a look at some of the cool things about fonts. So they've thought about fonts. It's very similar, but there's some nice perks. All right, the type tool. Let's click once. What I really like about the type tool is all the little icons underneath. I can click, hold, and drag. See this one here, the stripe, this size. Okay, if I click it once, I can use the slider, but it's very cool. I can click, hold, and drag it left and right to get a, I don't know, I find this a really, I don't know, tactile way of doing fonts rather than the old, I don't know, 8, 10, 12, 16, 18, 24, weird numbers. Okay, this is a lot more tactile. Okay, so I'm going to double click it. I'm going to try and use the keyboard. N, D, Q. That'll work for me. Okay, and I'm going to look at the fonts. The fonts are being really looked at. So very similar to the desktop version, but you can see over here, I can click on this, my recent ones. Oh, Victor script. It's recent from the desktop version, I wonder. Let's undo that. Double tapping with 2 fingers is the undo. It's very cool. Or you can use little buttons up here. So let's look at these now. They've got your fonts on, you know, that are kind of available to you normally. Okay, but down the bottom here, there's that more fonts that I just clicked quickly, and they've broken them into categories, which is really nice. A lot of these are ones that are part of your subscription, okay, from Adobe Fonts, but they're not particularly on your machine at the moment. Yeah, there's great ones. There's terrible ones. Typewriter, wedding, Western. Nobody needs a Western font. Why does it have its own category? School. I bet you it's going to have Comic Sans in there. It doesn't. But it's going to have all the ones with the right letters for kids writing. Anyway, I'm going to find one I really like. It's just kind of, I don't know. I used to spend ages going through fonts in Illustrator, just kind of clicking undo, trying to find a group of fonts. I'm going to go to clean. I'm going to look for Basic Sans Black. That looks cool. It's got a semi-serif. I'm not sure what you call it. It's got a couple of little serifs on it. Also in fonts, you can, let's say we make a duplicate of this one again. So I've got this guy. In terms of font sizings, you can actually grab the bottoms of the whole box and drag it up and down, and the same with the sides. Okay, to play around with it, you can rotate it by hitting the little top one. Undo. Now let's look at variable fonts. Variable fonts are one of those. Does this have much? Doesn't have much. Let's have a look at one that has variable fonts, because I don't know, it's pretty exciting. There's not that many fonts around, but I'm going to go back to more fonts. I'm going to search for variable or var. Okay, I only have 2 on my computer at the moment, Acumen and Minion. I'm going to use Acumen because I want to show you, back to the properties panel, what some of the perks for variable fonts are. So you see this little button here? If I click on this, the fontographer, whoever developed this type has done a crazy job where like instead of just having, it does have all the regular light, extra lights, but there's everything in between. Watch this. When I click and drag this, watch the weight. Let's move it up here so we can zoom in. So look at the weight. It just gets bigger. And it doesn't just like put a stroke around the outside. It is, you can see here, like have a look through where this N connects. You can see it doesn't just equally get bigger. It's, I'm blown away. I know how hard it is to make a font. I've tried to make my own font and only got to like D of lowercase. So same with width. Okay, you can find a narrow font. Look at that, compressed. I can't remember what they all are. Condensed, compressed. And then we start getting into the wide and extra wides. Oh, look at that. Slant, it's not just leaning it over, even though it kind of looks like it. Okay, I don't know. If you know fonts, you know that it's not just like false, faux italics. It's pretty crazy, some of the fonts. We can get it perfectly dialed in. All right. Oh, I like it. But it's not going to work for, how's it going to work? Yeah, let's use it. Okay, let's duplicate it, because what I want to do is I want to show you that you can also outline type. Okay, so over here, I'm going to go to this little option here. You can do type in a path, which we're not going to do, but let's outline the text. Okay, and let's have a little look. And let's say that because I like it, but it's got, I don't know, too many sharp edges. I want to start doing things like direct selection tool, and maybe, I don't know, let's do it to these top two. You can see these live corners from Illustrator. I can start doing nice things like that. Okay, and kind of working my way around and deciding which ones need the live corners. Oh, look at that. Well, that person spent all that time on this font, and I go in, butcher it. Anyway, I like it. 3 fingers is redo. Cool. Now let's say that we are enjoying what we've done and we want to share it with people. Hold shift. We've got this amazing thing that we want to share. I'm going to group it. What we can do to share it, in the top right here, there's this kind of like third icon. Click on this. So you can do a couple of things. You can do a quick export to PNG, which is really awesome. Just grab a PNG and sharing it. It's kind of the typical iPad sharing. I quite often share to this thing here, the Creative Cloud, because then it syncs on my desktop and it syncs on my phone, and I could email it to people. There's lots of things you can do that way. Let's have a look at something else. So obviously start live stream is, I'm not sure if that's working yet. I haven't touched that. But let's look at publish and export. So I can publish an AI file, PDF, SVG, PNG, PSD. Like it's pretty amazing. Now this is like exporting. I can just head back in the top left-hand side here, and over here now, that is syncing on my desktop screen and on my phone. So I don't need to share it as such, okay, as an Illustrator file. But in this case, if I needed an SVG exported for XD or something, I can do it within the iPad. All right, so I haven't clicked all the buttons in here. I've just started using it because it's new, and I had some logos to design, and I guess sharing my experience and why I think maybe it's worth a go in terms of an extra tool for Illustrator, and for those people who do prefer kind of working from the iPad, especially the iPad Pro these days is getting pretty amazing. Connect a keyboard to it and use this pencil, and you definitely need a fancy glove. All right, let me switch to the big camera and let's say goodbye. All right, that is it, my friend. That is the updates for Illustrator done for this year. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you thought the favorite was. Got to be Recolour, right? Recolour artwork. Let me know if it's one of those weird little connecting to font things, alignment to font updates. I'll be interested to know. Also know that I've got updates for all the other Adobe products as well. Check those out. And that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in another video real soon. Bye now.